Lionhearts podcast, where we dare to have moxie for what matters. I am Michelle.
And I'm Julia, and we are your new loudmouth, change-making do-gooders, best friends, here to embolden you to take more action, risk, and heart towards creating a more just, equitable, and brave world. Okay, so if you want to live a life of purpose, surrounded by people who, through their support and influence, drive you to live your most impactful, authentic existence, this is the episode for you. So this is our second episode. We just got done filming our first one yesterday. It is not perfect. We are publishing it anyways.
Yes.
And that's really important to us. It's really important to us. And Michelle, why is that important to us?
It is important to us because we are showing up. We are showing up for ourselves. We are one of our foundational messages is that, done is better than perfect, and perfection is not of this world. And we don't want people to stop themselves from reaching for their goals because they're waiting for the perfect moment, or they're waiting for the perfect lighting, or they're waiting for the perfect thing to talk about. And so yeah, we want to jump right in. And our theme for the first few podcasts is going to be all about purpose. Finding your purpose, and finding a community that supports you in your purpose, and other ways that you can really propel your goals forward. So
I feel like we're taking our audience along with us on this journey. We created this podcast because we want to connect more with our community, and we want to connect more with people who share our same values. It is the center of our marketing business, is people connecting with people, and connecting with people who are more focused on doing good and showing up and making an impact than being perfect, and that was really important to us. And this podcast is an extension of that. And so, yeah, we want to share some of the things that we're learning as we're going about throwing away perfection. That is, I think, Michelle, you put it perfection. You said this to me just last week, perfection and all these other things, they're myths. They don't actually exist. They're like this thing we tell ourselves is going to protect us and is going to be a shield for us, but they're not. It's fake. Perfection.
It's that impossible goal. You're chasing this thing, and you're chasing it to feel safe, right? It's an illusion of safety.
An illusion. That's the word. Yeah. Perfection is an illusion. And yes. Why are we doing that to ourselves? Is that making things better? Is perfection leading anything to better? I think there was a quote, I'm going to have to, sometimes I just think of quotes right in the middle, and I don't know anybody's names. I can't remember anybody's name. So I'm there's this person that said this once, but perfection never leads to anything that life is made of. Does not.
Yeah. So I think being able to distance yourself from that concept of perfection really helps you trust your own humanity. And whenever we're able to connect with our own humanity, we're able to allow other people around us to connect with theirs. Nobody wants to be expected to be perfect. And so it's really important to not treat yourself like perfection is expected.
I know. Yeah. My husband and I, we were looking over the podcast last night. It's our very first one. And we've been joking throughout today about this. Go back and watch it. It's a really cool episode. It's a mess, but we've got some really good content in there. You can really get to know Michelle and I. But there's this one part where I say, I say this thing where I meant to say all these books that I've read on this subject. People say this one thing. And and I said in the podcast, all these books that I've written. So just to clarify, to take a moment to clarify, I've never written a book. Okay.
Not yet. Not yet.
Not yet. I have never written a book, but I accidentally said that I wrote a book when I meant I read a book. I have read a book.
I think the great thing about that moment was, as the audience, our brains are constantly kind of trying to keep up, trying to follow along, especially if it's something that we're interested in. So I watched that moment too, and I remember seeing that and going, oh, I bet she is going to beat herself up about that. And it's funny because as an audience member, as somebody who's watching it, like, you don't skip a beat. You listen to the context of what was being said, and you immediately forgive the speaker, and you go, she just meant the books that she's read, and everybody moves forward. And I think trusting that the audience will have the grace to do that for you really helps you be able to roll through mistakes, because you're going to make them. Everybody's going to make mistakes when they're trying something big, and what we're doing is really big.
Yes, and we are publishing that episode, so
Yes, we are.
you guys will
Uncut.
yeah, we are publishing that episode. We are not re-recording it, and we're just going to hold space here to be imperfect people and say things the wrong way, and come with us. You know, you're going to feel better about who you are, because we're going to be making messes and right here on this podcast, and you're going to get to see all of it.
Yes.
So how does attracting your community serve you? Why is this worth your time? Why should you guys spend time trying to attract this community? How does it work? How does it serve you? So
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really what we're trying to do here. We talk a lot about imperfection, humanity, because we want like-minded people to come along on this journey with us. And I was telling somebody yesterday that we recorded this episode and it wasn't perfect, and my setting wasn't perfect, my lighting wasn't perfect, and she said, she said, a coach once told me that you cannot say the wrong thing to the right people, and you can't say the right thing to the wrong people. So really what is important about being selective about your community and growing a community that supports you is filtering out all those people that you can't say the right thing to anyway. And it might not even be that you can't say the right thing to them ever. It just might not be the right time for them to hear the things that you're sharing. So we specialize in helping nonprofits with their message and building their communities on social media, and we really encourage people to make sure that they're attracting the right community. Building that community builds you a whole fan base, people who can't stop talking about you, and the people who really are there for the journey, really are there at the same point with you, who resonate with your message, resonate with the mission that you're going after. Those are the people who are going to go out and talk about you at dinner parties. They're the people who are going to show up and volunteer. Maybe they don't have the $20 to donate this week, but that doesn't mean that they can't show up and help man a station at an event, or help you in some other way if you have volunteer opportunities out there. So it's really important to build this community and make sure that you're intentional about having the right people in it.
be picky. Be
Be
picky.
picky.
You want to be picky. And that's why like living into that like purpose and your values and really honing down on it and filtering everything through it is just going to propel you. And that's exactly what it's going to do with your community. When you can narrow down your values, you are going to find the kind of people in your life that bring out the best in you, because they value your values, or they have values that amplify your values, right? So we want to do that. So how do you define your community and audience? And we actually have some like simple ways to do that. And we actually do that in branding a lot. We do that in business when you're setting up your business and you have to define your audience. So you know how to write to them, you know how to like make your marketing material appeal to them. Is really important to narrow down your community / audience. We call it a target audience in marketing, but in life it can be applied across the board. So it can be applied to your personal life. So yeah, you need to identify your target audience or your target community or your target friends, the kind of people you want to surround yourself with, because they're going to get you to where you're going. Okay. And so those questions are like, you think about things like, think of your 2 values, picture them in your head. Okay. Hopefully you've done the homework and you've gone back and you've listened to the first podcast and you've identified your 2 values. So think about that and ask yourself, what age range is this person that would invoke these values or also have these values, that what I'm looking for. What maybe gender is a factor in there. These values that you're wanting to have in your life. Maybe area, maybe location. Also, a really important question to ask yourself is like, what activities does this person really like to do? Someone with these values, what kind of activities would someone like this? So for like an example, let's see, like Michelle's value is courage. One of her values is courage. So what kind of activity would someone who really valued courage do? And I was kind of joking with Michelle earlier on like roller derby. Like I feel like Michelle's community is in a roller derby gym somewhere, like elbowing someone for some reason. That's, I feel like that's her inner value person. Or this person is hiking. Someone who has like really values courage, where are they showing up at? Another question to be asking yourself to really narrow down that audience is, what kind of social media platforms would this person hang out on? Because every social media platform has a different audience. They're built for a specific person. They're built for a specific kind of community. So be looking into that. Maybe some examples are like Twitter would be the kind of community on Twitter. They're going to be looking for like mass communication. They're going to be middle range person who is not really looking for individual connection. They just want to follow like the bigger brands and the bigger like celebrities and stuff. So maybe that's movements. There you go, like movements and stuff. So they're going to be looking for that. So they're not going to be looking for like a closer connection. Other, TikTok, we've got millennials versus teenagers. Like it's almost equal on there. But the kind of people who want raw stuff, they really, really want to connect with you, you're going to find those people on TikTok. Facebook, you're going to find an older generation on Facebook, but Facebook groups, be looking in Facebook groups. And that was kind of another question to be asking yourself, what kind of groups would this person with these values be hanging out on? And start looking for those groups, because that's where your community is. And then, so those are your main questions. Get that narrowed down and kind of build that little persona of who you think that person is.
And I really want to emphasize here with this part, to going back to what we talked about, not chasing perfection. It really is about, if you're just starting out in your organization, or if you're just starting out trying to determine your target market, it was super intimidating for me to approach that process. I was really afraid of getting it wrong. I was really afraid of talking to the wrong people, and really getting it wrong is one step toward getting it right. So, take the time to think about these things, and don't be afraid to be wrong, because there are ways that you will find out if you are wrong, right? If you are in and you're posting things in a Facebook group that you think is going to be useful, that these people are going to really connect with, and you just find out that you don't get a lot of connection, that's okay. There's other Facebook groups to try. There's time to kind of change it.
I like that.
Don't seek perfection in this.
Yeah, like make room to mess up as you are learning to lean into your value. Plan for that. Make that a part of your journey. Like you already expect you're going to mess up, and you're going to trip up on some of the things that you say, and be open and in a place of like learning and absorbing. I just really identify with sunflowers. So as soon as I said that, I like saw a bunch of sunflowers in my head. I'm like, be a sunflower. Yes. But I don't know if that would resonate with everybody else. Okay, so when you define your target audience, you define your target community, you establish like you really have a good understanding of the kind of people that you need to surround yourself with to really help you lean into your values so that you can start making massive impact in your life towards what you want. Then what do you do? Now what? What do you do? What do you do, Michelle?
It's all about, attracting the kind of community and the kind of audience, right? So we've defined who they are. We know it's important to have one. So now,
Yeah. Now what do we do with that
once you've
information?
done
Yeah.
that part of the journey, it's
Yes.
time to get out there. It's time to start showing up.
Yes.
It's time to be in those groups and start trying to be active. And it's time to pay attention, right? We've left that space for our assumptions about who these people are to be incorrect. And so you can't just be in the group and kind of lurk there and hope that you got it right. If you start interacting with those people, you're going to find out really quickly whether you guys are on the same page, whether these are the people who hold the same values, whether these are the kind of people who are going to want to support your mission. And that can be true if you're an Eagle Scout working on a community project. That can be true if you are in a leadership position at a nonprofit that's been established for 20 years. You show up and start trying to connect with people just authentically. Social media is about social. It's not about pushing an agenda. It's about really trying to connect with people. So trying to have relationships, try and see what they're talking about. Can you relate to something that they're talking about? Odds are yes, you can relate to something, and then you can chime in. And once you've made that step, maybe you'll make a post. It's all about really testing that hypothesis that you have, that these are your people.
I love that. Yeah, we often forget that, like, the next step to, like, so we've got all of these values, we figure out who we want to be, and then we're like, hey, now we really need to like get these people in our lives, and we really like need to be a magnet for them. But I actually don't believe in being a magnet. You can't just go into a space, whether virtually or physically, and stand there, and people are just going to be like, ooh, like,
what's this new shiny object?
Yeah. But it's funny when we say it out loud like that, but so many of us, especially me, this was something I had to work on, was participating in growing my own community, participating, showing up to those activities, and as an introvert, it's hard. Like, you would just rather just people intuitively know that you're cool and they should want to be drawn to you. That'd be preference. But no, like, you have to go, you have to talk to people, you have to sign up for the classes, the kind of classes that your community is showing up to, sign up for the virtual workshops your community is signing up to and participating in, and participate, so participate in a way to support, though. That's really, really important. So many of the times we're not going into a space to build our community for them to become our biggest fans. No, that's not going to work that way. That only works for like Beyonce probably, but she's had to put a lot of work into it too. But like, we have to go and we have to participate in a way that supports our community. That's how you draw people to you. And that looks different. That means, like, if your people are hiking, and you're perfectly able to hike, and your values courage, and you've got some sort of nonprofit or cause, and people are hiking, like, consider hiking, like, consider the roller derby, consider the thing, because that's where your people are, and you've got to participate, you've got to show up, you got to connect with people, and you got to support them. So I love that. Show up and participate. And then the next part of that is authenticity. I feel like this is going to be our, like, I think we're going to wear this word out. Yes. And I'm excited for it. So many people just need to hear it, especially like you and I. That's something that we've been really working on, is trying to live more authentically. So Michelle, like, tell us about authenticity and community.
Yeah. So I actually think that authenticity kind of help soften the blow of showing up. I think we're kind of preparing people to show up and be ready to get outside of your comfort zone. But the authenticity part of it really, really helps you retain some of your comfort zone when you're trying to connect with people. This is true of networking. This is true of meeting your new coworkers. This is true of making friends or moving to a new place. You don't want to tie yourself into a pretzel being the person that you're not to please some people. We believe me, we have tried and tested this hypothesis. It does not work. You need to be yourself, and you're not going to be right for everybody, and that's okay. I think so often on a interpersonal level, we are trying to please somebody. We find somebody, we're really impressed with them, and we're like, man, this is my person, this is my these are the people I'm trying to be with. And then you really don't fit in. And instead of taking that sign as maybe I made a miscalculation, maybe these aren't the kind of people that I really want to be sharing my time and my mission with. If you're spending too much time justifying your interest in something, if you're spending too much time justifying the things that you want to pursue to this is probably not the right audience. And it's really about having the quiet spaces in your time between meeting with people and going, am I feeling like I'm being myself? Because you can pretend to be somebody else and you will absolutely make that pretend person successful. But that won't bring you long-term happiness. It won't support your purpose and your values, because you've now put on a mask and pretended to be somebody so that this person would like you.
I just have to point out that being authentic does not mean being cruel or rude or unkind. That is not authenticity. That is absolutely not authenticity. It's showing up as in a way, it's showing up at 60%, I guess is what I say it, not being full capacity. And it's showing up willing to be messy and willing to not know it all, and to be open to being present in that room and contributing how you can contribute. And sometimes you're wrong, and your authentic self showing up, being willing to be the wrong person in the room, that's authenticity, right? It's making this podcast and going, this is going to be bumpy, and we're going to show up messy, and we're not going to say the right things. We're doing it anyway. And I just like to say that you do not like everyone. Okay? I don't like everyone. You do not like everyone. Why is everyone supposed to like you? Huh?
Yeah.
Why? No. We can be kind, but we can also, it's okay to make people uncomfortable. We have to stop making people so comfortable all the time and contorting ourselves to make other people uncomfortable. We have to do that public service. We have to do that to our humanity, so we can all start getting used to authentic people who make us a little uncomfortable, not rude, just uncomfortable. I'm different. That's okay. And we've got to just start spreading it. We've got to get comfortable with getting uncomfortable. And I love how that Michelle was talking about being brave, how important that is to how do you say it? Emulate being brave, make it a part of you, internalize being brave. Michelle's got that in the bag. This girl, she lives the courage, and but I know that that's not always easy for you. I know that that's not always, it's not, it doesn't mean it's easy because it's a value. Doesn't mean that it's easy. Yeah. It's
not easy. It is, it's important. And I'm biased because it is one of my core values, but
I like how you said that. It's not easy, but it's important.
It's very important. And some of the research that we did while we were building our website, you brought up some statistics and some things about brands that are going to be brave and getting loud about what matters. People want to
Yes.
connect with purpose.
Yes.
And one of the things that you found out there was that 67% of people buy from a brand for the first time based on its brave positioning on an important issue, right? um, it and brave doesn't have to be big, brave is
Yeah.
just being willing to say, like, I think this thing is important, and know that everybody in the room's not going to agree with you. um, there might be people who are like listening to this and going, what are you doing? You're driving people, they're going to not conform, and this is messy. Well, it is messy, but we don't all want to be perfect duplicates of each other. We all want to be individuals. We all want to be seen as important, and you can't do that if you're too busy trying to conform yourself and be the same as everybody and meet everyone's expectations. You've got to decide. You've got to put a priority together on who gets a say in your individuality, who gets a say in what you should be striving for. And let me tell you what, the top of that list should be you. um, because you're the one making the decisions, you're the one choosing the other people to tell you how to do it. So um, once you're able to get to a place where you can live inside that, create space for you to have an opinion, other people will look at you and they will tell you you're brave. And this happens to me and I'm like,
Right.
that doesn't feel brave, that just feels like me. And yeah, I think it really is about picking who you don't want to be followed by as much as you pick who you do want to be followed by, because if you if you're trying to make yourself um, okay for the people who are going to be kind of um, big and aggressive in your groups, there are people who you're authentically connecting with. Those are the people you really connect with, who are going to get pushed out by bigger personalities because you're afraid of um, making somebody uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Um,
Michelle, let me ask you, what's one way, or it doesn't have to be one, but at least one. What's one way that you've shown up and done something small and brave, that you could give an example of?
um,
For I'm trying to think
so
of like ways that we can show up in these brave ways. And I think we talked about like a couple here, like posting on that Facebook group that you're following. That can be so brave. For some of us, that's really, really difficult to share that opinion. And are posting something on our actual feed. Another thing that I think would be really scary for me would be to start like a fundraiser. That's really scary to me. Like, who am I? Who am I to make a fundraiser? Who's going to donate to something I believe in? I'm just this small one person. And how brave that takes to believe in yourself and put yourself out there and ask people, to start donating to a cause you care about, or just talking about a cause,
yeah,
that you care about. When you hear people talking ignorantly, or they feel completely different about a subject than you do, instead of being quiet, um, speaking up, and speaking up with love and understanding, being willing to be wrong. That's, oh my gosh, I shake when I do that. Right. I think
but
it's really
making
funny.
space for your idea in the conversation, right? I think that it has to be the right situation.
Yeah.
It's not like we're going to run out and inject ourselves in every place, but you know a lot of times I see people on my Facebook feed, and they're all talking about one topic, and like there's a point that I see so clearly that they're missing. It's not even that, um, my opinion's right and theirs is wrong. It's just that there's this little concrete part that they I'm not sure they're getting the way that they're talking. And if these are people I care about, then I'm going to probably speak up and say something and just be like, well, what about this? And sometimes it's just about asking questions. And it's like, listen, I'm not trying to say you're wrong. But I do want to introduce this question. And I do want, if you really are confused about the other side of the argument, if you really are not sure about why, I have some of those answers, and I'd be happy to share them with you. And lots of the times they're not. They don't want to be challenged, and that's not why they show up to that place.
Yes.
And so just offering that you have this little piece of thing that they might not understand, depending on who's there, some people might take you up on it.
I love
And
it.
then there are times when I have people kind of come at me aggressively, and there's a point where I'm like, oh, why am I even talking to this person? I'm not going to change their mind. And
No.
if it's in a public forum like on social media, it might be not about the person you're having the conversation with, but about the people who are going to read that conversation. And it also can just be about exploring your own position on it.
Yeah.
Um,
You get to define that, right? Like you get to define that. And it's something I've kind of been trying to implement lately is super hard concept for me is sometimes living in that brave authenticity and that value that I have means walking away.
Yeah.
It's so hard. We were just talking about this the other day. Walking away and letting other people have their own journey. Like they're not where you're at.
Yeah.
And to choose your values, like freedom for me, if I can tell that this is a conversation that is going to bring me a lot, like bring me to a place that is not going to move me to where my values are, like an option is don't do it, don't engage. And I have to check that for myself. Is this something I'm willing, is this important enough that I'm willing to show up for? Because we talked about yesterday, you cannot care about everything. You need to stop caring about everything. It is not good for you. It is not healthy for you. And it's not always going to serve you and get you to where you're going. I mean, it sounds cruel, but we have to cut it down. There's too many things to care about. Because of social media, because our access to so much information, I don't think human beings have ever had so many choices.
Yeah.
We have choice overload. We have cause overload. We have the cut, right? And man is inherently good. We want to do good things. We want to make an impact. And I've had this before where I was like serving and working on a charity campaign and going home at the end of the day and hearing about another charity campaign where people need help. And I just feel so terrible. I was like, why am I not helping this charity too? I was like, because you can't help all the charities. You cannot participate in all the fundraisers. You can't do all the service projects. You can't. You just.
And I think a really important an important dimension to kind of add to
oh no, I froze.
Those conversations with yourself. Are you still freezing? How are you doing? I think a really important thing to add to the dimension of those conversations with yourself, right? When you're kind of conflicted because you're like, I really want to help out with this thing, but I really want to help out with this thing. Take a minute and consider that other dimension of time, right? Like what's most important to me that I take part in right now? And take an inventory. What's going on in my life right now? Do I have enough pouring into my own cup to be able to pour out into other cups? I mean, listen, if we are building the right audience, this audience is full of people who believe in the greater good, believe in really helping people, believe in helping people here, helping people globally. They really just they're do-gooders. They want to make everything a better place. And one of the conflicts that we run into is, what I can't do everything. And taking care of yourself is going to allow you to help somebody else out a week down the road, a month down the road, a year down the road. So try not to forget that dimension of time in those times, in the decisions. And uh, when I talk about, not engaging with energies that are leading you away from your values, I mean, that is something that takes out of your cup, even if that's not willingly, right? Anytime you spend engaging with somebody, and you're not able to focus on, I'm here to either learn, or I'm here to have a conversation for the person who can't speak up for themselves, or is afraid to speak up for themselves, then you need to consider, is this conversation taking out of my cup? Am I giving giving energy to something that I need to conserve? I need to reserve that energy for these other things that are really important to me. And I think our lives get hectic, our lives get crazy, and sometimes we're not intentionally making those decisions in the moments that they happen. We're just like caught up in the momentum of the world around us, and it's helpful to be able to um, start focusing on some of these other things we've talked about earlier, being authentic and being brave, um, not
Yeah, yeah, I
compromising
love that.
for a
Yeah.
big donor. Are you going to get, can you go out and get a dollar from 1,000 followers? Is that going to be harder than getting $1,000 from one person who's then going to make you like do a bunch of things and make you feel like you owe them? Taking into consideration the energy transaction of the whole relationship with that person. Because if you have 1,000 people who are happy to give you a dollar and don't even feel like you owe them anything for it, they're just happy to like throw that in the pot and see you move forward. That could be a lot less taxing over the course of a whole relationship than one person who wants to just give you everything, but then wants to kind of control your choices in how you're going to pursue your purpose and your mission.
I really, really love that. Like keep on course. Don't let other people take away from the course of your value, what your mission is, just because you feel like you're beholden to them or that you need them. You never need them as much as you think that you're going to. It's that illusion again coming back, of
And we are so aware in the nonprofit community of how precious resources are, but we don't necessarily give enough weight to the space that we're leaving open for that person being a resource, right? We're making space for that person, and we're going against our own values. And I've been in nonprofits. I've done volunteer work for nonprofits as a photographer. I've heard those hard seasoned veterans just be like, these are just the things that you have to do to get your stuff funded.
Mhm.
And as a doe-eyed, rosy, rose-colored glasses young person entering the nonprofit, that grizzled message can be a little bit harsh. But even now, I'm a little bit older and I'm a little bit more mature, and I'm like, it is a choice to decide that it is okay to reserve that space, which is a resource for a person who doesn't align with where you're going. And if you don't treat that space that you're leaving open for them as a resource, then you're not giving yourself the opportunity to fill that space with one person who does align with your values, or people who align with your values, who can add up to the same thing that one person did, and make it a lot easier on you in the long term energy cost of that relationship.
I like that. The idea of like define where that no boundary is. And also like, I don't know, I'm kind of playing with this idea, like not compromising on those two main values. There's so many other things we can compromise and bend on and we should be fluid with. But there's some things it's a hard no, and figure out what that hard no is early and stick
Yeah.
to that so you can stay on that path where you're trying to get where you're going. Because if you are bending yourself for someone who can really take your cause like to the next level, but you're having to stray clear away from the values and the mission that you first set up, that is not worth it. It
Yeah,
really
we're
isn't.
not supposed to be satisfaction concierges for donors.
Ooh.
That's really not what our job is. Our job is to pursue the mission that we set out to pursue, or figure out it's not right for us. But our job is not to be a satisfaction concierge for a donor.
I'm also like thinking like, this sounds like a lot, like cutting stuff down, being fierce with like narrowing things down to like really small and like really sticking to that value. Like I can see how like that might make some people feel really anxious and really overwhelmed, like it's really narrowing things. And for someone like me who freedom is one of my values, um, um, the mindset here is that narrowing this stuff down and being this
Selective.
yes, selective creates freedom, right?
Yes.
Right.
Constraint in the right place will create freedom in other places. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's a really important idea. You can't just have freedom all the time and expect to be able to reach your goals. And if you can't reach your goals, what kind of freedom is that? If you are not deciding what your purpose is, and not deciding to prioritize things in your life, then what? You're just floating through the events that happen to you. Most people I know don't want to live like that. And so if achieving things is your jam, like like ours is, then constraint in the right place, being selective about the people you choose to support you in those things, is going to buy you the freedom to be able to realize it, and that'll feel really good.
So like it just takes a little extra time right now to like narrow those down, put it in place, make it a part of your mission statement, make it at the top of your project list when you're making your project and your goals or any other thing in your life. Spend some time doing it now so it saves you so much time later. And Michelle and I, sorry, excuse me. Michelle and I took some time to like, like I like to go super, super fast on stuff. I like to skip steps. I just want to do the fun stuff. But like she was really good at like reining that back. Hey, we've got to define this. We've got to define our business and our values. And honestly, what's really cool is kind of seeing that process from months ago, where we took all that time to carve that out. And sometimes it was grueling. Sometimes I was like, why is this so hard? I don't want to be doing this.
Yeah.
Like this is taking so much time. But I'm seeing it now. I'm seeing so many blessings. I'm seeing so many blessings from taking the time to do that now. And I don't have to take time now when I'm starting to talk to people about our business or what we do or what our values are. I don't have to take time to be like, oh, and try to remember what it is or try to define what it is. I know what it is because
Yeah.
we carved it. Like we carved it in and out, and we know what it is. So I don't, and that frees me up to be present for what we need to be working on now. For this podcast, we know what our values are when we're talking about this podcast. We know the direction that we want for this podcast and the values we want to shine in that because we took the time to carve it out. And so we're not having to guess that here. We're not having to take time when we're planning our episodes to even define what our value is, and we're able to focus on that. It's bleeding into so many things, and it's creating freedom in ways that I've never even expected. So yeah, definite advocate for finding those values, taking the time to like really defining it. So we're getting close to ending our second podcast. Yes. So we've got some takeaways to kind of bring back like what we're really trying to communicate here. So Michelle, like why didn't you go ahead with that? What are the takeaways from this episode?
This episode, we really wanted to be able to communicate to you, that building a community surrounds you with people who will nurture and support you in your purpose, your pursuits. taking the time to consider who these individuals are, what they're like, will allow you to find them. Even if you make a mistake, even if you're wrong, you're gonna find wrong people and figure out that they're wrong really quickly. And then, lastly, just building that selected community is really about attracting the kind of community and audience we that are going to help support us in our purpose. Is really about being selective, it and showing up to test whether your hypothesis about who these people are is right. But being authentic, being who you are, being brave enough to make those cuts. um, I have a thing that I say sometimes, where I remind myself that we're not for everyone. We're not. And that's a good thing. It's a good thing, because the people we are going to work with, they're going to be really excited about the things that we do for. And the people that we're not meant to work with, we're never going to make them happy. And I would really hate to waste any of the time I could be spending with the people we are here for, uh, on somebody that I'm not going to satisfy them, that I'm not what they're looking for. And I have as much goodwill for them that they can find the person that they need to work with, the person who says it in the right way that it resonates with them. Um, so yeah, just remember that, being selective in your community, and who's involved in your community, that allows you to save space for the people who are right for you.
Yeah, I love that. You're not everyone's cup of tea. You're never meant to be everybody's cup of tea. You're not built that way. We cannot run this world
Who
being
would
all
want
the things.
butterscotch as every meal, right? Butterscotch coffee, butterscotch pan. Wait, I'm getting hungry. No, but butterscotch dinner salad,
Dude.
yuck.
No, I love that so much. Be weird, okay?
Yeah, be brave.
Sum it all up, be weird, and use it to make impact. Use your weirdness and your uniqueness, make people uncomfy. So thank you.
People love you for it.
They'll love you for it. Your weirdos will be attracted to it. Thank you for joining us for our second podcast episode. We're so glad that you're here. We are going to be trying to feature, starting next month, we're going to be featuring a nonprofit or a charity or a do-gooder or a cool cause. And we're going to be featuring that person all month long. And we're even going to interview them, possibly, if they will come on to our podcast. So if you have a really cool cause and we want to hear about it, so put it in the show notes. Not show notes. Show notes are for us. I got to get used to like the comments. Yes, put it in the comments. Tell us about your cause, or you can email us at julia@amonglionhearts.com or michelle@amonglionhearts.com. We want to hear from you guys. We want to hear what you want us to talk about, what makes you passionate, what causes you're interested in, or if you don't have a cause, comment on a cause that you love. We're looking for people to feature. Maybe it's not your nonprofit, but you know of one that's really cool. We want to hear about it so we can feature them. And one last thing I'm going to give you a little nugget is I like to end these podcasts with an affirmation. So this week's affirmation for you is, I respect my authentic self and release the need to prove my worth to anyone else. You're the only one that matters and can define what your value is and who you're supposed to be. And ways, we touched on this last time, to implement this is use it in your meditation, say it in front of a mirror. So you're saying it to yourself. It helps you retain it and remember it. Hide it on a Post-it note all around your house so it surprises you. And if it's an affirmation that you're really wanting to learn and you want to keep it for a couple of weeks, another great ADHD tip is move your Post-its around so they keep surprising you. All right, it's time to sign off now. Remember, every small act of courage, no matter how small, is actually not small at all. Little Dr. Seuss rhyming here. You, my dear, are standing among the Lionhearts.